my friend, welcome to this channel. This is That's Wine and Hobbies, and I'm your host, Christina. And today we're going to be doing a passion fruit wine recipe. If that's something you're interested in, you should definitely hang out. I chose to do passion wine recipe for you guys because I want to show how passionate I am to my subscribers and viewers. It means the world to me that you all are watching or taking a risk and giving me the chance to take some time out of your day to see this recipe, and I hope that it can help you in some way. Also, I did lose a little bit of voice in my microphones. Some of this was voiced over, fair warned, I'm sorry, but it's not horrendous, I promise. And towards the end, make sure you stick around because I'm gonna give the list of the ingredients. So if you really like what you see, you think it's something that's gonna be delicious and you wanna do yourself, it'll be at the end of this video. So let's get into making this recipe. So I'm just showing you the passion fruit puree I'm going to use, but first, like baking, we always add our dry ingredients first. This is metabisulfite Campton tablets, and you have to crush these tablets. There's going to be 6 of them, and they just get crushed and dumped in the bucket. Boom. And that's it. So next thing I'm going to be pulling out are 2 tablespoons of acid blend. Dump it in the bucket, and I have to laugh about that because that's my little saying here. And there's 1.5 teaspoons of tannin. I love the color of tannin, reminds me of cinnamon, but if you don't have tannin, you can always use tea bags. Next thing I'm pulling out here is some yeast nutrient. I love how coarse it is. It reminds me of like sea salt or something. And this recipe is going to call for about 12 pounds of sugar, but we're going to add 8 pounds first. Here I am showing you my 2 things I'm going to be stirring up with today. The first thing I'm going to use is the whisk. That's because it's very dense and hard, and it's wonderful to stir things with, especially when you're adding 1 gallon of water to 8 pounds of sugar plus all the dry ingredients, which I will be showing to you now. And of course, you know, when things get too deep, that's when the spatula comes in handy because you've already used that really dense whisk to, like, you know, mix everything up. So when you pull out that spatula, you know, you're just helping to mix everything up nice and gently because there's nothing stuck to the bottom of the bucket. That's why I love this whisk. If you can find it, I don't know if you can. I did find it in Walmart, and if you go to Walmart anytime, try looking through the baking aisle or the cooking utensils and you might be able to find this because that is a lovely little sucker. So yeah, you can see, like, I'm adding more sugar, and it just helps break everything up. It just does a wonderful job. And of course, I'm giving kisses to all you wonderful viewers because you all are awesome, and I'm passionate for you all to be here. So now I'm showing you the 64 ounces of Maracuya by Canoa. This is 64 fluid ounces of this passion fruit puree. I have 4 jugs of that, so we're gonna dump that in. I did put this in a brew bag because I was not sure if there was going to be particles left over or not, or, you know, if there were seeds or anything, you know, floating around. I just want to hold everything as much as I can inside a brew bag. I think that brew bags are awesome, and as you can see, yes, there is puree that can be held inside the brew bag. And of course, mix, mix, mix. We have that sugar, we have the water, we have the chemicals. Always, always, always mix as much as you can. That's what makes the yeast happy, to have their homes all well combined together. Mixing, mixing, mixing. Everything is all about mixing. And here, oh my gosh, look at these strawberries. They're so good. That's 6 pounds of fresh cut strawberries. They're so beautiful. Oh my gosh. They were wonderful to work with, but as a hobby, please remind yourselves that this is a messy, 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 messy job. Always remember to please tie your brew bags off, because what is the point of the brew bag if everything can come out of it? So that's what I'm just trying to show you here. Tie your brew bag. I love it. So beautiful. Look how cute that is. Oh, the pink and the orange. It's going to be such a beautiful color when everything is done. I cannot wait. This is called a wine thief, and that is what I'm showing you that I use to fill up the beaker beside me with my hydrometer. It's a very wonderful tool, especially when you're dealing with 6-pound buckets like this. And so I put the juice in here, and I'm checking my hydrometer to see what our potential alcohol level is. It is reading about 19%, so we're gonna wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow is when we add our peptic enzyme and yeast. So the only thing you have to do is put an airlock on here. The reason why we add airlocks, even though nothing's fermenting, is because you don't want nasty bugs or bacteria or anything to get into your well-deserved project. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Next day, 24 hours, here we are. So what we're gonna do is take off this airlock. The reason why I put one on here, even though nothing's fermenting, is just so no bugs or particles or nothing nasty gets inside your wine while you're waiting for, your habitat to be perfect for your yeast. I'm gonna open this up now, so let's go ahead and do that. It smells so good. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna say about this is you saw yesterday how everything was kind of like a yellowish orange, and that's what I was kind of wondering is, are the strawberries going to give this a pinkish, reddish color? And it definitely is. So you can definitely see after 24 hours the color change in this wine. Of course, if I mix it around, it's gonna have some of that orange come through it, which we are going to mix it now. It's always good to just give everything a really good stir, as you're going through things. Always have everything nice and blended. It's always a good idea to give everything one good stir. But so you see how now that I've stirred everything, it's kind of giving that orangish color, but with a little bit of that red hint. So it's going to be really fun to see how this ferments and what color it's going to turn into. It's going to be very exciting to find out. Last but not least, all we need is a tablespoon of peptic enzyme. Peptic enzyme helps to clarify. You don't always need peptic enzyme, but I want to put this in here especially because this was a puree of the passion fruit and everything, so it's definitely going to probably need a clarifier. Now when you put peptic enzyme in a bucket, you do not want to dump it all in one place because this stuff tends to clump together. It is just like a clumpy little bitch. That's just what it is. So I tend to try to sprinkle it as much as possible and then stir it in. I will sprinkle it wherever I can that I see that I kind of miss a spot, but do not dump this all in at one place because, like I said, see here and here and here, watch, it's gonna clump. I'm gonna do this as an example. All right, so now that you put your peptic enzyme in, you're gonna need to mix it up. All right, so we're gonna mix her. And because I try to spread it out as much as possible, a lot of it is dissolving in together, but you will see that there are some leftover clumps, and I will show you so you can kind of see them floating around in there. That's what peptic enzyme does. And you can always take like a little dish and kind of just mix it up, outside of this before you put it in. That could probably help a lot. I've never done that. I just always kind of made sure to sprinkle it out because do as I say, not as I do, please. Thank you. Now that everything is mixed well together, I know I took a reading yesterday, but I want to take one more today. Everything I'm using is disinfected. We always use disinfected materials around here. We don't want no fungus growing and shit that we had to pay for to brew, right? Whether it was cheap or expensive. Right now, everything is expensive. We're not wasteful. I can buy myself an hour. So we can see right here, I filled up my beaker. We're gonna drop it in. I love dropping them in. That's my favorite part. Let me see what we're reading. I am reading 19% in this. Let's see what it can do. It might be like the last brew that I made with the sweet potato wine, and it left 1% sugar left behind, which is really not that big of a deal. So we have 18%. This thing can reach 18%. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm sure that our wine is going to do an amazing job. It all depends on what type of yeast we're going to be using. And of course, you guys know what my specialty is, and it's the Lavin. This gets you up to 18%. This is a champagne yeast, and I love this yeast. That's all I can say. And there's a lot of home brewers on here that will tell you, oh, people with only using EC1118. Well, you know what? That's because this channel is geared towards people, whether you are a beginner or an expert, to have a guaranteed wine. If you have a problem with that, don't watch my channel. Or stick to your own business on your channel. So you'll just sprinkle out your yeast. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle all over the place, the whole packet. Because this is a 6-gallon bucket. We're just going to sprinkle all of it in there, kind of like nice and even, you know, so they all have a chance of thriving. One tip I'd like to give you all is that I keep my yeast in the refrigerator. I tend to think that makes them last just a little bit longer, so that's what I do with them. Of course, if you don't have this yeast, that's okay. I would just cut back on the sugar a little bit, because depending on which yeast you use, they do have like a kind of a alcohol. They can only get to a certain amount of alcohol within what type of yeast that you use. Some can only get you to 8, 12, 15, whatever. So it really just depends. So just kind of cut back on the sugar if you know that that's the type of yeast that you have. I'm sure it's going to come out wonderful no matter what you do. So yeah, that is it. We are going to put the lid on now. Put your airlock back on here. What's going to happen next is that I'm just going to let this sit and it's going to ferment. Of course, I'm going to put it on the back table. I always do that with all my things. Just be careful. If you are not a very strong person or don't have a very good back, make sure you have somebody that helps you to move it wherever you need it to go, because this is very heavy. This is going to ferment probably for 2, 3, 4 weeks. I'm not really sure. I just kind of let it go, let it go, let it go. And if I get time to do it, then I will transfer it over to secondary fermentation. I still have to put in my sweet potato into a secondary fermentator actually, and I also have that I need to rack over. That was my Hocus Pocus wine, so I am definitely needing to jump on it. If you guys seen in one of my shorts, I actually racked over my hibiscus wine. It had a lot of sediment at the bottom, and I didn't want the sediment to change the flavor, so I racked that over, and I did document that into a YouTube shorts. So if you're interested in seeing that, you could definitely see it, because it is a 1-gallon batch. I am so happy to start this passion wine. The reason why I decided to do it is because I want to tell everybody to follow your passion. Follow what you enjoy and don't give up on it. If you're passionate about it, then love it and keep doing it. That's why I keep making these videos for you guys. I don't have a big crowd of fans or anything here on YouTube. I'm just the tiniest platform in the world. I've got kicked off of YouTube's algorithm, but I don't do it for YouTube to get money or anything. I just do this because this is my hobby and I love to share it with you guys. As always, make sure that you do your own research, do your own due diligence. I think I said that right. Do your own research, make sure you're doing everything correctly. Don't just follow me by the book, because I'm not a book. I'm just a lady in her room here, special room. And you know, I'm just a mom making wine in a room somewhere. So make sure that you do your own stuff. And I would never tell you I'm an expert, I'm a scientist. I am 100%, 101% got my bachelor's and doctorate's degree in wine, because obviously no. I started this channel because I found a passion in it. I found a passion in doing something that nobody else was really doing. I found a passion in the pandemic that kept me happy, and I was able to share with friends. Even though I couldn't be around them, they could still tell me that they had something that they can enjoy from me. So that is where my passion came. My passion is from seeing other people's reactions and seeing them happy. And whether yours is through wine or not, I just want to let you guys know to don't give up. Don't give up on your passions and just keep going. And if you find new ones, that's great too. So that's one thing that'll probably be leading into this summer is my passion for gardening. So yeah, this will be my first garden at home that I'm gonna make a big batch of, so I can and keep some things that we really like to use around the house. So that way I'm not like last minute looking for it at the grocery store or whatever. I'm gonna have it at home, and that's what I really love. And if you're interested in that, I hope that you do subscribe and you stick around. And as always, as promised, here is the list of ingredients. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers to you, even though I don't have a drink right now, but happy fermenting, and clarifying, and everything that has to do with wine. Bye.